In early December 2024, South Korea was plunged into an unprecedented political crisis that has shaken its democratic foundation and raised significant concerns both domestically and internationally. The crisis erupted when President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law under the pretext of countering threats from so-called pro-North Korean anti-state forces. Citing the opposition-controlled National Assembly's alleged attempts to undermine the nation's democratic order, Yoon deployed military forces to the capital, Seoul, in an extraordinary move that immediately alarmed citizens, lawmakers, and international observers alike. This declaration saw special military units mobilized to enforce martial law, with specific directives to suppress political dissent and control media narratives. The sudden imposition of martial law drew sharp criticism across the political spectrum, uniting members of both ruling and opposition parties in a rare display of bipartisan resistance. The National Assembly swiftly convened an emergency session, where lawmakers voted unanimously to annul the martial law decree, declaring it unconstitutional and a grave overreach of executive power. However, the crisis deepened as the military, initially acting in compliance with the president's orders, resisted the assembly's decision, creating a dangerous standoff. The streets of Seoul became tense as citizens took to protests, fearing that the nation was on the brink of returning to authoritarianism reminiscent of past military regimes. Civil society groups, human rights organizations, and international diplomatic voices added to the mounting pressure on President Yoon to revoke his decision. After approximately 6 hours of martial law, during which the situation grew increasingly volatile, Yoon was forced to rescind the order. The abrupt reversal did little to calm the uproar. Instead, it underscored the fragility of his leadership and exposed deep divisions within the government. The aftermath of the crisis has been equally tumultuous. Key members of Yoon's administration, including Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun and Interior Minister Lee Sang-min, tendered their resignations in the face of mounting public outrage and scrutiny. Opposition parties filed impeachment motions against Yoon, accusing him of gross misconduct, abuse of power, and endangering the nation's democratic institutions. The judiciary and legal experts began examining the legality of his actions, with many calling for a full investigation into the events that led to the martial law declaration. Public sentiment has overwhelmingly turned against the president, with mass protests demanding his resignation. South Korea's vibrant civil society, which has played a pivotal role in safeguarding democracy in previous crises, has once again mobilized to hold the government accountable. The implications of the crisis extend beyond South Korea's borders. As a key player in East Asia and a critical ally of the United States, the turmoil has raised concerns about regional stability, particularly given the ongoing tensions with North Korea. Analysts fear that the crisis could embolden Pyongyang or create opportunities for geopolitical rivals to exploit South Korea's internal instability. The episode has also drawn international attention to the resilience of South Korea's democratic institutions. While the swift annulment of martial law and the unity displayed by lawmakers reflect the strength of its democracy, the ease with which such an extreme measure was enacted has sparked debates about the need for institutional safeguards against executive overreach. As the dust begins to settle, South Korea faces a long road to restoring trust in its political system. The crisis has exposed vulnerabilities in governance and highlighted the importance of maintaining a balance of power between the executive and legislative branches. For President Yoon, who now faces widespread calls for his removal, his political future appears bleak. The events of December 2024 will undoubtedly go down in South Korean history as a defining moment, offering both a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and a testament to the enduring strength of democratic resistance. The recent political crisis in South Korea stems from a confluence of factors rooted in governance challenges, political polarization, and historical context. At its core, the crisis reflects concerns over executive overreach, as President Yoon Suk-yeol's decision to impose martial law demonstrated the vulnerabilities of a system that grants significant emergency powers to the presidency, a remnant of South Korea's authoritarian past. This move was seen by many as a drastic measure to consolidate power rather than address genuine national security concerns, especially given the vague justification of threats from pro-North Korean anti-state forces. The situation was further exacerbated by deep partisan gridlock and polarization, with the opposition-controlled National Assembly and the ruling party locked in a constant power struggle, undermining trust and cooperation between branches of government. Public frustration with broader governance issues, such as economic inequality, housing affordability, and youth unemployment, added fuel to the fire, as many saw the declaration as a diversion from addressing these pressing concerns. Historically, the specter of past authoritarian regimes, which used martial law to suppress dissent, loomed large, galvanizing citizens to resist any perceived erosion of democratic freedoms. Finally, the crisis was compounded by President Yoon's polarizing leadership style, which alienated not only opposition lawmakers but also allies within his administration, weakening his position and further isolating him in the face of mounting criticism. Together, these factors created a perfect storm, exposing the fragility of South Korea's democratic system and underscoring the need for institutional reforms to safeguard against similar crises in the future.